Be'ezras Hashem Yisbarach. Yom Rishon Parshas Balak Shnas Tavshin Ayin Zayin Shiva Tiferes Avigdor. This week, Torah tells us about Bilam. Bilam was and is a study of greatness and its downfall. It's a study of a person who is Yodeya Das Elyon. He knew the Das of Hashem to a tremendous degree. He was fully aware of Hashem and Hashem's ways. And he was brought down. He fell. Why did he fall? You know why he fell? He fell because he had within him the quintessential bad midas. Chazal say Bilam was a nefesh that contained gaiva, taiva, all the good things that drive different people in their lives. There's a Gemara in Makis, and the Gemara says, Amar Rabba bar Rav Huna, Amar Rav Huna, the Amri law, others say Amar Rav Huna, Amar Rebbe Elazar. Min ha-Torah umin ha-Neviim umin ha-Ksuvim. There is a lesson that the Torah repeats throughout the Tanakh. Torah, Neviim, and Ksuvim. What's that an indication of? Know what the indication is? What would that tell you? It's an important lesson. That's true. What else would it tell you? It would tell you that it's a very powerful lesson. It would tell you also that it's a lesson that people don't get. And Hashem has to keep pounding it into you. Torah, Nevi'im, Ksuvim, from all sides. What's that lesson? B'derech sha'adam roitze leilech ba moilichen oisei. In the way that a person wants to go, he is led. Now the question is, what's the chiddush? What is the chiddush in this lesson? That means the lesson is that Rotzain creates a force. When a person has a Rotzain, there is created a force. You know what that force leads to? That person pulls a gun, points a gun at somebody, and he pulls the trigger, and then he sees somebody drop on the floor. And he goes, wow, how did that happen? The answer is, if you pull a trigger, you create a force. And that force takes out a bullet, and it hits the target. The person has a bow and arrow, and he pulls an arrow in the bow, and he pulls back, and then he lets go. And the next thing he sees is an arrow sticking out of somebody's forehead. He doesn't wonder, how did that happen? He understands. If you pull back on an arrow, you let go, that creates a force. This Gemara is telling me a hafalik chiddush. And that chiddush is that you can't, creating a rotz is creating a force. You having a rotz, a person saying, I need roitze lasos mashu. That rotzain is the same like pulling back a bow and letting the arrows fly. It's the same exact thing as pulling the trigger and creating a force. There's nothing in the world that could be moilech a person. There's nothing in the world that could lead a person in the direction that he wants to go more so than Ratzon. If he has a Ratzon, then that Ratzon is like pulling a trigger. Now this is a tremendous lesson. You know what the lesson that lies in this is? Number one, it teaches me the tremendous responsibility that a person has to be Reitzah or not to be Reitzah. It's a tremendous responsibility that a person has to be a Reitzah to do what's right. Because if you're Reitzah to do what's right, that's called you pull the trigger. The bullet coming out, doing what's right, is a memela. If a person is a Reitzah to do wrong, he creates a force of Meilichim. It also is a tremendous thing. It gives a person a tremendous sense of relaxation. It gives a person a tremendous sense of menuchas hanefesh, of shalva. You know why? Let's say you decide you want to be a tzaddik. Let's say you decide you want to be an adam chashiv. Let's say you decide you want to shtaik. So somebody would tell you, Shimon, why don't you shtaik? You know what you're going to say? I'm a little kid. It's not easy. It's not this, I was born here, and then I moved here, and then I'm moving back, and give all kind of songs and dances. But you know what the thing is? A person says, I want to be matzliach in life. And the person, I'm not lucky, you have to be a bar mazel, you have to be a this, you have to be a that. You know what you have to be? One thing, Ratzah. If you are an emes reitzeh, if you're an emes you really want, that's the key, like pulling a trigger. That's the same thing. All Hashem wants from a person is that he should be right. When you do something bad, You know what Hashem's going to hold you responsible? Why were you righteous to do bad? And everybody's going to say, oh no, Hashem, I wasn't righteous to do bad. The bad happened. I wanted to do good. That's like saying the bullet came out of the gun by himself. I was just playing with the gun. Somehow the gun went off and the bullet came out. My friend, you got to pull the trigger. Arrows don't fly out with force unless you put them in a bow and you pull back and you let them go. That's what a person has to understand. If a person wants to curse somebody, if a person wants to harm somebody, no, people do, they blame Hashem. Obviously that's what Hashem wanted, because it happened. Hashem's going to say it's all your fault because you were right. Yeah. So everything bad that you do, you know, responsible? You, not Hashem. Know why you're responsible? Because you're right. When you do good, when you have to do good, and you're challenged to do good, you know what you're responsible for? But not one thing. If you want to sleep more than you want to stay, Hashem said, okay, I'll help you out. That's what you want. Whatever gun you pick up today, that's the bullet that's going to come out. So the Gemara says that this lesson is not a davar pashut, because most people say nothing is my fault. This is what people say. I don't have the ability to determine my destiny. I don't have the ability to become a better person. I am who I am. This is how I was born. I can't get better. I'm nuts. My mind plays games with me. I can't become better. Do people think? I can't help that I'm bad because I always wanted to do bad. Ki yetzer leiv ha'adam ra min ha'urav, Gabriel. You know what the problem is, Gabriel? It's your ratzon. If you're not roitze to steig, that's you. When you're not steiging, it's because you're not roitze. When you are steiging, it means you are roitze. That's all you got to do. So the Gemara says this thing is learned from the Torah and from the Nevi'im, and again from the Ksubim. It hacks this lesson over and over and over in the Torah, because people just don't get this. You know what else it says in this lesson? Shidduchim. It says Shidduchim come from Hashem, the Gemara says. Min ha-Torah, min ha-Nevi'im, and min ha-Ksubim. It's the same thing. You know why? Because when the person, everybody thinks Shidduchim doesn't come from Hashem. It comes from Yichas, you gotta have connection, you gotta be wealthy, you gotta be good family, you gotta be this, you gotta be that. No, you don't. Shidduchim come from Hashem completely. You gotta know the right people. Over here, they say similar lesson. Min ha-Torah and min ha-Nevi'im and ha-Ksubim. It's all totally in you. The first raya from the Torah, from the whole entire Torah, you know what the raya to this is? The raya is from Balak. The Gemara says that, the Torah says that when the Balak sent people to call Bilam, to invite Bilam to come to curse Klal Yisrael. Be Mekaleh, right? Know what curse is? You know what Hashem said to Bilam? Hashem comes to Bilam and he says, Lo seilech imahim. Don't go with them. Is that clear? Is that clear? You know what Lo seilech imahim means? Shimon? It's not divrei Kabbalah, right? Pretty straightforward. Don't go. And you know what happens? Bilam is misakesh. He's stubborn. Bilam decides, I'm going to go. Anyway, you know why? Because they offered him a lot of money. And he had to go. It was just too much money on the line to pass up. You know what Hashem says to them in the then? He says afterwards, Kum, get up, leich ita. Yeah. You can go with them. First Hashem says, Loi say leich. Then Hashem says, Kum leich ita. Yeah, an action. A stubborn mule who's not willing to turn back. He's not willing to change his mind. Even though he's going the wrong thing. Hashem tells you, don't go. Know what Hashem finally tells you? Kum lechita. Get up and go with it. HaKadosh Baruch Hu Pashut is amazing. Is mevater. Who would think Hashem would be mevater on his own ratzon? And he says, I'm going to enable you to fall into the trap. Actually, if you want to go against the ratzon of Hashem, here's a guy that's walking in the street, and he walks in the street, and all of a sudden, he faces a challenge, terrible challenge, big challenge. He sees something that grabs him. And he raises his eyes to Hashem and says, Hashem, now, what do you want from me, Hashem? What am I expected to do in this situation? Good question, no? And now the person thinks, Shimon, what if the person think that? He thinks, it's Hashem's fault. Hashem, I didn't ask for this. I was going along my hunky-dory way. I was going along nicely. And Hashem, you sent me this challenge. That's too much for me. Like the Gemara says, Ma yasa haben shelo yechta. That's the Gemara in Avigdor says. If you put a child with a bunch of money in a bad place, Ma yasa haben shelo yechta. Could you expect this and not to sin? It's good. So he says to Hashem, what do you expect? And the guy falls, boom. No Hashem, no didn't cap. That the reason why Hashem sent you that challenge is because that's what you want. That's what you want. Here's a wife who tells a young man, let's go away. Let's leave the yeshiva. Go on vacation in the middle of his man. I said, nah, you don't want to go. Middle of his man. I said, no, I gotta go. Okay, we'll go. His friend asked, where are you going? Middle of his man, what are you doing? He said, I don't want to go really. My wife. What the answer is? Kum lechita. The derech she'adam roitza leilech ba meilichenes. That was your ratzon. Now a person could see what his ratzon is from looking at how he's being led, how he's being moilech, how Hashem is being moilech. That's how you'll see what your ratzon is. Here's a guy going off the derech. Just understand why. Here's a guy who's burnt out from learning, and he decides he has to leave yeshiva. He wants to be burnt out of learning, so he's burnt out of learning. That's all it is. Whatever you want, that's where Hashem takes you. Now Hashem constantly gives you messages. I know of a wonderful, very fine young man who shockingly decided after he got married, no one expected him to, is going to college. I went over to him and I said, such a fine young man. You're really a special guy. Frum, Emlach, and you're a Shemayim. You love to learn. What are you doing? You know, my parents, the in-laws, the outlaws, what can I do? The guy decided to undertake a very hard job. He was shooting for a very hard job. And he started putting in hours. Very difficult. Great investment of time. But he was aware, he was a tough guy. He wasn't a guy that bent easily, and he kept on going. Emes was a fine person. And he worked like a dog. And then one day he came to the realization he can't reach his goal. Hashem put a spoke in the wheel for him to reach his goal. He did everything his in-laws and his parents wanted him to do. But Hashem said, you're never going to be the big kahuna. So you decide, okay, I'll go for second level. I'll go for second level. Imagine a guy decides he wants to be a big lawyer, big time lawyer. Then he realizes he's never going to be a lawyer. So he tries he's going to become a paralegal. Okay, close enough, something. Then the fellow continues on, and he comes to the awareness he's never going to be a paralegal. So he decides he's going to become somebody who works in a law office. And eventually ended up doing zilch. Years later, I meet the guy and I say, what are you doing? Are you finished? Nah. So what happened? I said, you're not a lazy guy. You're dedicated. They said, no, I was fully dedicated. This didn't work out. That didn't work out. This didn't work out. And now, I said, you working in a law office? He said, I'm working in a law office. I said, what are you getting paid in this kind of job? He's getting paid what a Schwarzer would get paid to clean the office, maybe less. Minimum wage. Minimum wage. I said, you gotta go 6 years and give your life up minimum wage? I said, what was the last straw that broke the camel's back? See, one that was interesting, tells me. The school that I was in a wasn't in a fly-by-night school. I was in a real school. The program that I was going for was shut down. The government shut down the program. I said, do you get it? He said, get what? I said, do you hear Hashem saying, Lo yiseilech imahem? No. I said, you think you had to go for 6 years, all these years, to become it's minimum wage? What don't you see here? I felt terrible for the person. My heart was broken for the person. So that a person has to know that if a person is misakesh against, and sometimes a person is, Hashem loves this person. Because Hashem's telling him, Lo yiseilech, Lo yiseilech, Lo yiseilech. But sometimes a person is misakesh, and Hashem says, go ahead. You want to go? Now the tremendous lesson over here is that somebody who can be on Bilam's level, who's mamish handling directly with Hashem. He's not even hearing the wrong messages. Hashem told him straight, Kum lechita. Of course Hashem told him, I'm the boss. You should know you're not going to be able to curse them if I don't want you to curse them. You're not going to be able to do one thing. No, Bilam says, let me give it a shot. Let me keep pushing. Maybe I get, the closer I get, you know what the shot is? Bilam knew the power of Ratzon. Bilam understood. Imagine a guy would tell you, you want a gun, you want to put a gun to that guy's head, you want to pull the trigger, you could. I'm just telling you, it's not his destiny to get a bullet in his head. The bullet will not enter his head. You think, let me give it a shot. Let me try it. Let me give it a pull trigger. You get closer, put the gun to the head. You're ready to go boom, and all of a sudden the guy falls on the floor and the bullet goes past his head. Bilam wanted to curse those Jews with all his keiches, and Hashem said, you have a Ratzon, you can do it. Now the Vilna Gaon writes in his famous letter, what the lesson in this Gemara you learn out is, you have to know, like the Maral says on this Gemara, that Midah Toiva is Meruba Midas Haparaniyos 500 times. on the koyach of good, the force of good is 500 times more powerful than the koyach of ra. So if the koyach of ra creates a tremendous rotzen, which is meilichen, I say to the ra, could you understand what a koyach of toiv and a rotzen of toiv can create for a person? Unbelievable. 500 times as much. Even Dr. Maral, if ba'oifen kivi, natural, the hatzloch is rechoika mimenu. But Hashem is going to come to you someday, Shimon, and say, how come you didn't have the ruts and it's all I wanted from you? That's all he's going to ask you. Now, if real all Hashem is going to say to you is, why weren't you right, sir? And you'll say, I was. And Hashem is going to say, how's that? You didn't get near the Bishmerders, what kind of right side? You're sitting around like it's Ben Ismanim, what kind of right side? Oh, I'm getting there soon, Hashem. I'll be there shortly. Shortly. That's what Hashem's going to say. You always came up a little short. It was always a matter of shortly. You always had excuses. But the bottom line was, the Ratzah was missing. That's all Hashem wants. When the guy writes, Ha'ikesh yatzliach. If a person is in action, he's going to be matzliach. And experience demonstrate this. You should know that great things happened. Chosheva things were created only because of akshanas. Because people were not willing to compromise. They weren't willing to be mevat. Just like good things happen that way, bad things happen that way too. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives Rishayim a lot of time, a long time to be matzliach. But at the end, they signed their own death warrant. They signed their own destiny, because that's what they will. A person who doesn't want to learn, doesn't show up to learning, doesn't come to learning, doesn't push himself, there's no ruts. That's the lesson we learn from Balak. Yeah, that's Shimon. That's what you got to work on. Person wants popcorn, person wants pizza, person wants nash, get it. Person wants the good things. When you look at somebody who's matzliach, you want to know, what should I be envious of? Not of his hatzlach. You have to be envious of that person's ruts. That's where you have to look at, the ruts into that person. In the pasuk, then it quotes a pasuk from Yeshaya that says, in the derech that you choose for yourself, that's what Hashem is going to lead you. That's all. As stubborn as you are, that's how your hatzlach is going to be. And when I learned the parsha of this parsha, you're going to do Shnaya Mikra V'Echad Targum, or you're going to learn this parsha, tell yourself, I want to learn from Bilam. I want to learn from Bilam. This is something you want to learn from Bilam. To be in action. His akshanas was driven by the forces of evil. That's what drove him. He was driven by the desire for gaiva. He was driven by the desire for taiva. He was driven by, he couldn't satisfy himself. Never had enough. Nope. He died b'chatzi yamav. You know that? Bilam died a young man. Chatzi yamav he died. in the end, habeit, the pasuk says. Study, look, Vishilumas Rishoyim Tire, you will see how Hashem deals with Rishoyim. You will see the payment. But it says in the davening, Hashem is a roitze b'shuva. He wants us to be, Hashem roitze b'shuva. He wants us to do. He wants me to be a roitze b'shuva. Hashem says, you be a roitze b'shuva, I'll take it back. Hashem wants me to do tshuva. Hashem tells me, all I want is for you to be a roitze to do tshuva. That's what Hashem wants. Kadosh Baruch Hu should help us. Strengthen. Build our ratzon to do good. Don't blame anybody else for your failures. People think they have obstacles. They have concentration problems. They have emotional problems. They have IQ problems. People are hot. People are tired. People have all kinds of issues. But all those issues are just obstacles to test how strong is your ratzon. If you have a ratzon, those are not obstacles. And if they're obstacles, it means your ratzon is at a very, very, very minimal level. And you're getting led and directed exactly where it is that you want to be.